Edge of Venomverse. Number 4. Hey guys, it's Nerd Scum. That was ridiculous, I know. So yeah, Edge of Venomverse number 4. Since I haven't done one of these in a while, and I definitely haven't done any on Edge of Venomverse, let me start with just the premise. The basic premise is at some point they're doing an event called Venomverse, where they're going to bring in all these symbiote hosts from multiple universes to do like one big symbiote event. So leading up to it, they've had these individual issues. It'll be 5 of them, I believe, each one dealing with a different character and a different reality that's going to get sucked into this thing. And from the start, I wasn't crazy about it because Marvel never lied to us, but it definitely seemed like they were trying to indicate that this had something to do with Eddie Brock coming back as Venom, which has been kind of a lackluster, mediocre, silly kind of return in a lot of ways. Definitely not what people had hoped for. So going into this, I was a little hesitant, and issue 1 had X-23 getting the symbiote and then giving it to some... Never mind, it doesn't matter. It was trash. It was garbage. The art wasn't on model, like from panel to panel. You couldn't even really tell who a character was from like panel to panel. It was not great, and the story was just kind of like, whatever. Issue 2 was Gwenpool, and, wasn't it? Wasn't issue 2 Gwenpool? Yeah, issue 2 was Gwenpool. And, I actually enjoyed that one, but I understand why a lot of people didn't like it. But I felt that, like, the art for the character it worked out fine, and for the story... Like, again, they weren't really adding anything to the event itself, but just in terms of, like, a one-off story of her with the symbiote, it was fine. I enjoyed it. It made me laugh a couple of times. But I do wonder how that has any impact on the overall event. And then number 3, the reason why I couldn't remember where one of them was, because number 3 is Ghost Rider. Yeah, it's Ghost Rider with the symbiote. And it's Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider, and somehow this makes even less sense than Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider. Like the whole thing where it's like, well, he's not really a Ghost Rider, but he's kind of a Ghost Rider, and he's got all the powers of a Ghost Rider, but in this also, he's got the symbiote, and like, fire's supposed to hurt the symbiote, and they like, mention it in the book, but like, don't actually explain it. Man, the art was so frickin'... Anyway, number 4. Number 4 of Edge of Venomverse features Old Man Logan. And interestingly, it is Old Man Logan, but not the Old Man Logan that is in the current timeline of Marvel, in the main Marvel universe right now. And I also don't think it's the Old Man Logan from his original one-off book, but like a splinter universe of that. I guess whenever like Logan was taken into the main universe, it created like an alternate universe where he stayed and raised Hulk Kid. And it was actually pretty cool. The story was pretty decent. Like, I really liked that version of the character, especially a lot more like when he was in his own isolated book where it didn't necessarily have to make sense. But they do an interesting thing in this where like they bring him back, pull him back into like the story, and the way he gets the symbiote's really interesting. Unlike the other 2 or 3 books that had come before, like this one really spends a lot of time working up to how Logan gets the symbiote, and when he does, it's pretty awesome. The one thing I would say is that the art in this book it's not bad. It's definitely good art, but it's not, I don't think it's the right art for this story. Like, Wolverine looks like a stick man in half of them. Like, he's Old Man Logan, yeah, but he's still, like, supposed to be a built, stocky guy. It's a very cartoony style in some ways, but a very, like, hyper-cartoony. I'm not sure. It's not a bad style of art, and for a certain kind of book, I think it would work really, really well. But for this book, I wasn't that into it. Didn't keep me from enjoying the overall story. And it was the first time that I felt like the end of the story actually felt like a good lead-in to the main event that's going, like the main Venomverse event. that they're leading up to, or at least that all these books are supposed to be leading up to, but it feels like a lot of the people who worked on the one-shots leading up to it didn't really care about the event. They're just like, I just have to do this because you made a stupid variant cover, and now we're doing an event after it. So anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on Edge of Venomverse number 4. Check it out, or don't, either way. If you like Old Man Logan, and you're fine with the art not being what you're used to, but you'd like to see like a continuation of that story with some cool symbiote stuff, because if you remember, symbiote does show up in the original Old Man Logan story, and it reappears in this book in a very similar way. A very similar way. The same way, actually. So yeah, if you like those things, I definitely say check it out. It doesn't have a lot of the glaring, like, inaccuracies or errors that some of the other Edge of Venomverse books have, so, yeah, I don't really have a rating system that I do or anything, but, I actually enjoyed it, which is saying something these days.